The plan was simple: a camping trip with friends in a forest hundreds of kilometers away. We hit the road, our excitement echoing through the car, anticipation building with every mile we covered. As night fell, we decided to rest in a small town named Mistmoore, a blip on the map we had never heard of before. Pulling into town, we couldn't shake the odd feeling that accompanied the place. Mistmoore, a name that sounded like it belonged in a fairy tale, had an air of mystery about it. But we brushed off our unease, attributing it to the unfamiliarity of the place. We found a motel, a quaint little spot that seemed to belong to a different era, the kind of place where time moved a bit slower. The receptionist, an elderly woman with a weathered face, checked us in without much fuss. As we settled into our rooms, the excitement of our journey still lingered. As evening turned to night, a thick fog rolled into Mistmoore. It came out of nowhere, enveloping the town in a shroud of mist. It happened so quickly that we hadn't even noticed until it was all around us. Peering out of our motel windows, we could barely see beyond a few feet. Curiosity got the better of us, and we headed to the lobby to ask the staff about the sudden weather change. The receptionist, now wearing a concerned expression, warned us not to venture out when the fog was present. "Strange things always happen when Mistmoore is wrapped in fog," she whispered, her voice laden with an ominous tone. The warning sparked a mix of curiosity and unease within us, but we laughed it off as local superstition. With the town shrouded in fog, I suggested exploring Mistmoore and maybe finding a bar to pass the time. The group had mixed reactions. Some were eager for the adventure, while others hesitated, spooked by the eerie atmosphere that had settled over the town. Eventually, we decided to split up, with some opting for a good night's sleep and others, including myself, in pursuit of a local watering hole. Stepping outside, the air felt thick and oppressive. The unease lingered, but I dismissed it as the unfamiliarity of the surroundings. We strolled down the deserted streets, guided by the faint glow of the bar sign we had spotted when we first arrived. As we walked, I couldn't shake the sensation of being watched. Shadows danced on the periphery of the houses, and I couldn't help but glance over my shoulder. "Anyone else see that?" I asked, my words hanging in the damp air. My friends exchanged uncertain glances, shaking their heads. It was as if the town itself was alive with hidden eyes, observing our every move. Finally, we arrived at the bar, a dimly lit establishment with an old-fashioned charm. A friend and I decided to linger outside for a smoke while the rest ventured in. As we lit our cigarettes, I couldn't help but steal glances at the misty surroundings, wondering if the shadows were still watching. The bar's entrance creaked open, and my friend and I stepped inside, leaving the foggy night behind. To our shock, our friends who had entered earlier stood frozen at the entrance, expressions frozen in eerie smiles. "Hey, what's going on?" I asked, but there was no response. It was as if they were there physically, but absent mentally. Uneasy, we circled around them, trying to make sense of the bizarre scene. The bar, initially seemingly empty, suddenly filled with people when we took a second look. A bartender effortlessly poured drinks for my friends, oblivious to the strange pause that had just occurred. Stumbling back, I asked my friends if they had experienced the same surreal moment. They nodded, equally bewildered. The place had a strange energy, a vibe that something otherworldly lingered just beneath the surface. Gathering our wits, we approached the bar, hoping to find some answers. The bartender, seemingly unfazed by our confusion, welcomed us. "Welcome. We suggest you stay here until the fog is lifted. Strange things always happen in Mistmoore when the fog is this thick," he warned, his tone carrying a weight of long-held secrets. "Yeah, we've noticed," I replied, exchanging uneasy glances with my friends. We grabbed our drinks and settled at a table, attempting to shake off the eerie encounter. The night seemed to return to normal as we engaged in casual banter, playing pool and darts. Suddenly, the bar's door swung open with force. A group of strangers burst in, their panicked expressions telling a tale of terror. One of them shouted, "Our friend disappeared! They took him when he went to check out the shadows in the fog." As their words hung in the air, the once lively atmosphere in the bar shifted, replaced by an unsettling tension. The atmosphere in the bar grew heavy as the locals shared their unsettling insights. "If you aren't locals, then we can only pray for your friend," one of them admitted, a somber tone accompanying the words. "Strange things always happen whenever the fog is this thick, and it's never the same things. Unfortunately, we cannot help you. The occurrences never target the locals. It's always those who aren't born and raised in Mistmoore." Dismayed but determined, we motioned for the newcomers to join our table. They too had arrived in Mistmoore just a day before us. Together, we shared our bewildering encounters, trying to piece together the enigma that surrounded the town. The locals' reluctance to assist in finding the missing person fueled our collective decision to take matters into our own hands. "Let's go look for your friend. Maybe it's just a prank or something," I suggested, attempting to dismiss the ominous warnings. Standing up to leave, we were met with a final caution from one of the locals. "What you're doing is a bad idea. A lot of foreigners disappear when they go out into the fog." Despite the chilling warning, we couldn't bear the thought of doing nothing. "We cannot just do nothing," I asserted, and with that, we left the safety of the bar. As we stepped back into the mist-shrouded streets, the ominous shadows seemed to grow darker. Our group, now expanded with fellow travelers, ventured into the unknown, driven by a mix of concern for our missing friend and a growing curiosity about the peculiar occurrences in the eerie town of Mistmoore. Little did we know that the fog held secrets more chilling than we could have ever imagined. As we marched towards the location where our newfound friend's companion had vanished, unease clawed at the edges of my consciousness. Shadows flitted at the corners of my vision, figures standing motionless in the murk. The unsettling sight sent a chill down my spine, and I quickened my pace. Glancing back, I saw my friends frozen once more, their faces twisted into those eerie smiles. Panic gripped me, and I slapped myself, hoping it was just a twisted vision. Blinking, I found them back to normal. Michael, bewildered, asked why I was slapping myself. "They were frozen again, with those creepy smiles," I stammered, my heart racing. Their expressions shifted, and we sprinted towards the place where their friend had been taken. Arriving at the fog-covered location, an inexplicable shift occurred. It was as if we had crossed into another realm. A massive bonfire illuminated a gathering of people, adorned with strange tattoos, chanting in a language unknown to us. Panic set in as their friend was nowhere in sight. The strange cult-like figures paid us no mind as we heard a piercing scream. Racing towards the source, we discovered a horrifying scene. A menacing man held a butcher's knife, having gruesomely severed their friend's hand. He glanced at us with an unsettling hunger and declared, "Delicious, more food has arrived." Without thinking, something primal took over, and I attacked the man, knocking him down. "Take your friend and run. We're right behind you," I shouted. The group sprinted through the fog, and suddenly, we found ourselves back in Mistmoore, but in a completely different location from where we had entered. Breathing heavily, I muttered, "This is getting out of hand. I have no idea what's going on." The boundaries between reality and nightmare blurred. Realizing the hotel was nearby, I urged everyone to run towards it. "We can meet up with the rest of our group and get out of this damn place," I declared. "Your friend needs a hospital," I added, addressing Alex from their group. "Let's hurry then. He's losing a lot of blood," Alex replied, urgency in his voice. As we reached the hotel, the manager stood at the entrance, a mix of concern and frustration on her face. "I told you not to go out. Hurry on in. We have a doctor here," she scolded. I questioned her about our friends, and she informed us they were sleeping until morning, and it is not possible to awaken them, a peculiar way travelers survive the fog in their motel. Heading to our friend's room, we found them in a seemingly peaceful slumber. Gathering everyone into a side room, I proposed we stay at the motel for the rest of the night. Agreement resonated through the group, as the horrors outside kept us reluctant to venture into the unknown again. Throughout the night, we remained vigilant, peering out the windows. Sleep eluded us as we witnessed more travelers being dragged into the mysterious depths of Mistmoore. As dawn broke, the fog lifted, and our friends awoke, seemingly unharmed. Pulling them aside, we had a hushed discussion, deciding it was best to leave immediately. The unsettling events of the night remained unspoken as we hastily drove away, abandoning our initial camping plans. A year passed, haunted by shadows and the memories of Mistmoore. Unable to shake the strange occurrences, I felt compelled to return. The journey back was inevitable.